Lancaster from the Post Office, Shell Livewire, Project North East. Thank you very much for your time, Paul.
You're welcome.
You'd just like to let our viewers know, first of all, about the Post Office to start with. That'd be great.
Okay. Well, it's a venue directly opposite the train station in Newcastle, and at the moment we've got weekly after-work events for local developers, designers, illustrators, and tech startups on a Tuesday night. And they're attracting up to 50 people every week.
And how did you, obviously you're the founder of this, how did you get that started?
Yeah, very informally really. I had access to the building through working for Project North East, so I had the keys to the building. It wasn't being used all the time, just from conversations I was having with local developers and tech startup founders. They were saying that they would like a place in Newcastle that they could call like their home, like a focal point for them to get together. And just from visiting places like Tech Hub in London, that was kind of the inspiration. I wanted something like that in Newcastle. So this is like the beginnings of a Tech Hub type place in Newcastle. And the long-term view is to have co-working events during the day, series of events on the evening and during the day as well, and other associated activities.
Fantastic, look forward to seeing that. Can I ask you about your background in terms of Shell Livewire and Project North East?
Yeah, sure. Well, Project North East, it's a local enterprise agency, and it's been around since the early 80s, giving free business startup advice, low-cost workspace, so it actually owns this building and the block of buildings along Pink Lane. And also it owns the loft where you were a bit earlier, the Ignite 100,
yep.
Where they're based. So P&E's got a bit of a history for supporting grassroots businesses, and since the 80s I've been working for them for about 6.5 years. I started working for Shell Livewire 3.5 years ago, so in that time I've been doing a lot of work with startups right across the UK, but my particular interest is tech startups, and so this is my way of getting a bit more involved with them and using my skills and experience from working on Livewire and contacts and hopefully benefiting the North East community.
Fantastic. Just for our viewers, Paul, what is Shell Livewire for anybody out there who doesn't know?
Right, yeah, it's called a social investment program funded by Shell, the petrol company. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of their way of describing it.
A small backer then.
Yeah, it's actually the 30th anniversary this year. So Shell's been running one of the longest running youth enterprise schemes in the UK over that time. And basically I'll look after the website, do all the digital marketing, social media, community development for Shell Livewire. And it's primarily an online information resource for small businesses, but we've also got cash to give away. So if anyone's aged 16 to 30, based in the UK, and has been running their business for less than 12 months, then they can win £1,000 from us in our monthly competition, and they could potentially win a further £10,000 in November as well.
Fantastic. I mean, I guess the next thing I want to ask you is, in terms of Newcastle as a tech community, what would you say Newcastle's real strength is as a tech community?
Well, I'm from Newcastle. I've lived here most of my life. I've travelled quite extensively as well, so I've seen through work, and I've seen what other cities have got. But Newcastle does have a very supportive community, particularly the startup community and developers as well. I don't think there's anything else like developers. You know, they're very generous with their time. Even the most skilled and experienced developers are quite willing to help people who are just starting out in the industry. And that's what I think is the real strength of the events that are happening at the post office, is that it's very informal, very relaxed. You've got real people who are at the top of the game, who are sharing their knowledge and experience with others. And so there's usually a presentation or two at the events, but then sometimes the best things are just the discussions that happen around that, just the relaxed exchanges that go on afterwards, and also in the pub. It's really handy that we've got some great pubs nearby as well, which always helps.
Fantastic. Regards to, we'd like to ask about the government. It's kind of like we have to do it. What do you see as their role? Do you think they have a role to play in the tech community?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think everyone understands that we need to do everything we can to support startups in this country, and the government is doing what they can. And I think the problem when you're a politician or in central government is you can't be as close to the ground as you want to be, so you'll naturally support the things that are the most high profile or the kind of like easy wins. Mm-hmm. So the big businesses that are going to employ like hundreds of people or thousands of people will attract a lot of interest, or the anything around London. So everything's always very London centric. Mm-hmm. And that's not just government, but it's because all the media, most of the media are based down there, so naturally a lot of their attention is on what's going on in London. So I think initiatives like what you're doing are fantastic because they're shining the light on all the other great things that are going on across the country. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's right. So kind of that's where I see that I can hopefully play a role is through the work I'm doing through Shell Livewire, because I've got a lot of contacts right across the UK and I have got contacts with politicians as well. Then I can shout a bit or like champion what's going on in other parts of the country, particularly the northeast, which I think there's a lot of great stuff going on up here.
And going back to these organic meetups that are happening in Newcastle, just for someone who might have not been to a meetup before, what can they expect, and what would you recommend for somebody to do when they're coming to Newcastle in terms of which meetups should they be going to?
Right. Well, I mean, I would say, I'm not being biased, but I would say come along to any one of the events at the post office. It happens every Tuesday night. It usually starts from around 6 o'clock. The event tonight, which was a PHP Northeast, there's free pizza. So you can come along, you get fed as well. Very, very relaxed, very informal. You know, you can talk to anyone. You'll always be made to feel welcome by anyone here, and I'm here to host the events as well. So I just think it's a good way that whether you're an experienced developer or you're just starting out or you just want to find out a bit more, you're welcome to come along. They're always free, the events, so you can just dip your toe in the water. Good for networking, you make some good mates as well, you know. Could always go to the pub afterwards as well. So if you don't want it to come to these events, you can meet everyone in the pub afterwards.
Awesome, which we're hoping to do afterwards. That's great. Paul, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time. It's been a real pleasure.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
All right.